Hey guys, welcome back to The Bowl Combo, your source for album reviews, vlogs, live music, and more. Today we're talking Misery, the latest album by the Amity Affliction. So stick around while we check out some of the changes you can expect on the band's latest effort. Alright guys, I want to remind you that the t-shirt giveaway is still going. It's going to be going for the next few weeks. All you have to do is visit the video linked in the description below. Make sure to comment on that video and tell me your favorite album released so far in 2018. You also have to be subscribed to the channel. Those are the only two requirements to enter the t-shirt giveaway. A few weeks from now, I'll release a video choosing 2 winners, and I'll send you guys off a t-shirt and probably a magnet with the channel logo on it. So again, make sure to click the link to the video in the description down below. Comment there with your favorite album released in 2018, and also make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you do subscribe, also make sure to hit the bell to get notified so you get notified every time I post a new video. That'll be pretty helpful in making sure that these videos reach you guys. Alright, so let's talk Misery. The production quality on this album is superb. I think it's clean, it's crisp, it's punchy. It really has a great sound, and overall I think it's probably the highest production quality of an album that they've released to date. Now, I think it just comes down to some of their previous albums had a little bit of a muddier sound, I think, on purpose, and had a little bit of a rougher sound. And on this album, I think they went for a little bit of a cleaner sound. So, along those lines, in terms of the sound of the album, I think the first thing that's obvious is the inclusion of electronic elements throughout the entire album, to the point that some of the songs really feel like a bit of a departure from some of the stuff that you've heard previously with the Amity Affliction. I think songs like Ivy and Feels Like I'm Dying Inside really take heavy advantage of the electronic inclusion on this album, to the point that portions of these songs really sound like Bring Me the Horizon, for example, both in the electronic element on the instrumentals and in the vocals, the unclean singing that's going on. So there's definitely some familiarity there in some of those first songs. And the chorus to the song Misery also has probably the most experimental singing I've heard them put out to date. A lot of electronic undertones going on there the entire time. And it sounds like much more frequency than what I've heard in some of their previous efforts and some of their previous songs. So now there's still a lot of really strong sung choruses throughout the entire album. Songs like Burn Alive, Kick Rocks, Black Cloud, Set Me Free, Drag the Lake, and Holier Than Heaven all have really catchy choruses, and they do a really good job of making them sound unique and diverse, so it really keeps the listener's attention. I think that that's a really big positive that shines through on this album. After listening to the album a couple times, I think Drag the Lake's probably my favorite song on the album. The chorus is ridiculously catchy. I love the notes that they chose to use on that, and I think the song as a whole is going to be really memorable. It really falls in line with more of the traditional Amity Affliction style songs that you heard on some of their previous efforts, and it doesn't disappoint. I think it's a super catchy song, and it's going to end up being probably one of their most popular songs. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being a single off the album as well. It just has that vibe to it. Make sure to comment down below and let me know what you guys think about this song specifically. Again, I think it's my favorite song on the album. I just can't really find a part about it that I don't like. I think it's super catchy. I think it's a really solid song to put in the middle of the album to keep the listener's attention, and it's a rewarding song. So while there's a lot of softer electronic elements on this album, there are still some pretty heavy moments. Holier Than Heaven, Black Cloud, and Beltsville Blues all start off fairly slowly, but build up and progress into something fairly heavy, and they have the heaviest moments on the album, in my opinion. Those 3 songs have really heavy sections on them that I think really play well in the progression of the song and really break up the softer style that they're utilizing on a lot of this album. So so along those lines, I think that the unclean singing isn't quite as prevalent on this album as it has been in previous Amity Affliction albums. I think there's only a handful of songs where it even exists, the screaming itself. For the most part, it's unclean singing and just clean singing. But I think it does do a good job of making the songs feel extra heavy when they hit. Because heaviness isn't plastered all over the album, when it does get to that point, it just feels really frantic and really, really heavy. And I think it does a good job of hammering home the message that the songs are trying to convey. So in that regard, I think it works really well. And while people that are a fan of the heavier side of the Amity Affliction might be a little bit disappointed that there's not more of that on the album, I think that the parts that are there are really memorable and they're really good. I think DIE was the only song on the album I didn't like. For some reason, the songwriting just felt really weak and a little bit shallow, especially the lyrics, the way they're sung, the messages that they're trying to send. And there was a pretty neat guitar solo in the middle of the song, but I really don't think it can cover up the weak songwriting overall and the weak lyrical content on the song. So that song specifically was a bit of a miss for me. You guys have to let me know what you think of that song. I have a feeling people are going to be torn. Some people are really going to like it, some people are probably going to hate it. and maybe they wanted to throw that in there for that reason, just to create some polarization. But that song, specifically DIE, just didn't do it for me, and I really couldn't get into the song after listening it a couple times. Overall, I think that there's a lot of replayability on this album. It's got a lot of diversity. I think fans of the Amity Affliction are probably really going to like this album just because it's a logical progression for them. There are a lot of softer moments where they incorporate a lot more electronic sound and they kind of veer away from the heavier side, but I do think it still falls in line with the discography for the Amity Affliction. And so for those reasons, I think that people will still probably be a fan of this album and probably embrace it for the content that it has. Now, it may alienate a few people because of the inclusion of so much electronic sound and because of the diversity that's just displayed on the album and maybe some of the lack of unclean vocals, but overall I think people that are willing to listen to it and kind of keep an open mind will probably like this album. There's so many bands nowadays that are adding electronic elements. They're steering away from the scream vocals and kind of including more of those clean vocals, that it's really hit or miss on whether or not it's a success, and making that decision can kind of impact your band negatively if it doesn't work. But I think for the Amity Affliction, this change does work for them, so I think it's something that is going to end up working out for them and maybe push them in a different direction musically at some point. But I think, again, overall it's a logical evolution. I think it fits well inside their discography and it has a lot of memorable, diverse moments. So for those reasons, I'm definitely going to recommend you guys check out Misery by the Amity Affliction. Make sure to check it out on Google Play, iTunes, Spotify. If you're a big fan of the band, make sure to support them. Go to their shows, buy their merch, buy their physical albums. I know the bands make a larger percentage of royalties from physical albums and physical content like that. So make sure to support them like that if you're a big fan of them. And if you guys like this video, again, make sure to subscribe down below, click the like button, give it a big thumbs up. I really appreciate all of that positive engagement, and the support so far, guys, has just been phenomenal, so thank you so much. I hope you guys all have a great weekend as always, and until next time, we will see you soon.